David Wilcox in our KINK Live Performance Lounge, and tonight over at the Aladdin Theater. Thank you for stopping by the Green Room.
My pleasure.
Talk a little bit about your Airstream travels, because this is fascinating why someone would choose to be in an Airstream trailer with a teenage son and your wife and actually survive.
Yeah. When I first was looking for vehicles to do this trip with, the salesmen were all very cynical. They said, "Oh no, this is way too small because you'll hate each other after the first week."
How big was it?
It's 28 feet, but it was perfect. It was really great, and the kind of conversations that we had that would have been impossible, I miss those conversations now. We're settled back in our house in Asheville, and now Nathan's off down the hall in his room, and it used to be that, it'd be midnight, and Nathan would have some thought on his mind, and it's not worth getting up, but he would just say, "Hey, that guy we were talking to today," and he would open up some topic that's like troubling, and we had so many of those conversations where, because we were, his little bed was in the front and our bed was in the back, and it was just enough distance and it was dark that it was not, it was the kind of conversation that you kind of couldn't have in the light of day, because if you realize, oh shit, I'm talking to my parents, you can't say that to your parents. But because it was dark and camping and we were away from home, we just had this freedom to sort of step outside our roles. So he didn't always have to be the teenage kid, and we didn't always have to be the parents.
Whatever's in the Airstream stays in the Airstream.
Yes.
That's very good. Nathan's 14 now.
Yeah.
Was he at all resentful about having to go in an Airstream with the two of you?
Well, there were friends that he missed, yeah. And he has always been just a really bold traveler. He's up for what life brings. And he realized that, he could make something out of this. And so he did. He really did. And he got so comfortable talking with all kinds of people, all different ages, all different kinds of people. And it was remarkable seeing him blossom. And there's great music that happened. I really loved the inspiration. The writing, instead of having my studio, like out in the woods in the cabin behind the house, I would be, if I had a song in the middle of the night, I had to go out. Luckily, it was always good weather. But I would just be outside with the flashlight, the guitar, strum, right, strum. Sometimes, this one night, I was in, one of these sort of public bathroom things, like on the campground, right. And the light had this motion detector, so I'd be writing away, and then after about 10 minutes, it would be completely dark, and I'd have to walk around a little bit to get the lights
back on so you could continue to write.
And then every once in a while, some guy would come in, "Hey, what are you doing in here?" And I'd have my guitar on the sink, "Oh, sorry, let me move that for you."
Look what you did for the creative process.
But when you gotta go, you gotta go, and the song had to come out. So
hopefully you didn't tap your foot.
That was so bad. Your new album is going to be about those Airstream travels.
Yeah.
But for now, it's Vista, and you're going to be performing songs off that, I assume, tonight at the Aladdin. Where do you begin in terms of telling a story? How do you come up with a beginning, middle, and end based on a song?
That's a great question. For me, I think the emotional center of it. If you notice what happens in conversation, if there's a place in the conversation where there's kind of the emotion just kind of sinks in, there's that where you finally find the words for it that you didn't even know yourself, and you get that's the crux of the matter, and that's got to be the center of the story. That's sort of like the last little wrap-up thing. Center, emotional center, not sort of time center. And so once you know that, then you got to figure out where to start in order to wind up there. And that is about the pacing, and that takes so much time trying to figure out how to carry people with you. I really love images that aren't just sort of a snapshot to make associations, but they're actually images that take you along on a journey, just like a regular story, where it does something with the images and moves through it, and that's really satisfying for me.
You seem like you're approaching your music with so much more clarity now.
That's because I'm out of the way.
Well, how'd you get out of the way?
Most of it is just getting old. Most of it is just what happens when I realized that the way I used to do music was at first, it was like trying to find my tribe. It was like, oh, who in the world would ever understand me? And, so you're like searching out, oh, maybe you're the love of my life. Oh, maybe you're my best friend. And you're sending that out in songs, like, writing these epistles and putting them in a bottle and throwing them in the ocean and just kind of saying, find me. And so that was up till like the album How Did You Find Me Here and all that. And then suddenly I started to get responses across the ocean, messages in a bottle saying, stop writing, who are you? But don't call me here. But
we will never rescue you from this island.
But then I started to think, oh, maybe what I'm doing is important, and of course that's death. I thought maybe what I'm doing is like, maybe it's new, maybe it's like, and then I started thinking, it's like somebody's over your shoulder when you're writing. It's like, oh, well, is that like, you become self-conscious. It's terrible. And so then, luckily, what happens is, like everything, life brings us all these beautiful things, and all of them drift downstream eventually. So now I have this great opportunity to realize it's not about me, and so now I'm really happy to be back in love with the music, because it just sends my heart and it makes me feel so good, and that's a great place to be. And there's an innocence that's come back now about the music. There's a love of it that seems stronger than ever, and that's really what I wanted. Years ago, when people would ask, where do you want your music to be in 10 years and all that, they were asking business questions. But I always thought, well, I want it to be in my heart. I want it to be in my dreams. I want it to surprise me and be my teacher. And so that's what I've gotten over the long run. And so I'm grateful.
Yeah, we're all grateful. I mean, you have the gift, and to be able to do what you love to do the most for a living. Mm-hmm. Still making music after all these years. It's awesome. It is a dream come true. Congratulations.
Thank you. And luckily it didn't come too true that it started to, like I don't have to play the hits, because there are no hits.
And I just want to say that not only are you a great singer-songwriter, but you have the greatest laugh in the world.
Ever.
Honest to God, it is so infectious. Would you do
Sure.
ditty for us?
Change looks frightening. Watch that wind, I've been warned. But I live to feel this lightning in this perfect storm. This perfect storm. Here in this perfect storm.
David Wilcox, tonight at the Aladdin Theater. Do yourself a favor and buy a ticket and go to the show. You won't be disappointed.
Do yourself a favor.